My HOA president snatched my keys from my car, declared my rock path provocative, and tried to force her lake country chic decor on me. But her reign of terror ended when I called. The morning mist still clung to the glassy surface of Bluefinch Lake, a serene blanket over the waking world, when my peaceful Saturday shattered. At precisely 6:07 a.m., I watched in utter disbelief as a perfectly manicured hand, adorned with a shimmering pearl tennis bracelet, brazenly reached through my open car window. With a chillingly practiced move, it snatched my entire keyring right from the ignition. Was this a nightmare? The woman attached to that audacious hand, our self-proclaimed HOA queen, Deborah Price, then brandished my house keys like a trophy of war, her voice dripping with an insufferable, absolute authority. "This is official association business," she declared, her tone demanding immediate compliance or face further action. What on earth did that even mean? Behind her, bobbing menacingly at my private dock, was her pontoon boat. It wasn't just any boat. It looked like a glorified warship, decked out with a banner that screamed, "Welcome Board Inspection Flotilla," in letters that somehow managed to be both ridiculously festive and deeply threatening. Three other board members sat rigid in their matching visors, clipboards clutched like weapons. They looked ready to invade, armed with violation notices and measuring tapes. One of them was even filming the whole absurd spectacle on her phone, documenting what they called evidence of noncompliance. Unbelievable. My name is Mark Harrison, a 41-year-old software developer, a passionate woodworker, and the owner of a modest cedar lake house in Maple Key. 2 years ago, after my divorce, I thought I'd found my sanctuary here, a peaceful retreat where loons sang their melancholic songs at dusk. But oh, how wrong I was. This peaceful community apparently thought nothing of fining you $200 for non-compliant Adirondack chair angles, meaning your chairs weren't at a precisely 45-degree angle to the shoreline. Who even comes up with this stuff? Deborah Price had ruled as HOA president for 3 years, ever since she orchestrated what locals whispered was the Valentine's Day coup. She'd ousted the previous president for the heinous crime of approving the wrong shade of beige for the community mailboxes. She wielded her position like a medieval tyrant, lording over us peasants who dared to plant the wrong color petunias or hang a wind chime without her sacred written approval. Her smile? It was a cold, empty thing, a silent promise of certified letters delivered by process servers, a chilling punctuation mark on unspoken threats. I'd seen her drive out others, the Hendersons for a visible vegetable garden, the Johnsons for painting their shed door the wrong shade of green. I just wanted to be left alone, to sip my morning coffee watching the sunrise paint the lake in gold, to kayak at sunset when the water turned to glass, to craft beautiful bowls from driftwood in my workshop. But my quiet life, my evasively serene existence, apparently made me potentially subversive in Deborah's twisted mind. She seemed personally offended by anyone who didn't conform to her bizarre vision of community, which included mandatory monthly seminars on synchronized lawn mowing patterns and maximum curb appeal deck furniture arrangements. Seriously? The harassment had begun 6 months prior. A formal warning letter, embossed with official HOA letterhead, claimed my dock's aesthetic was insufficiently heritage. What in the world did that even mean? It came with a diagram of approved docks that looked less like actual docks and more like fever dreams from an architect who'd never seen a lake. She'd even hired her nephew, a heritage consultant with a graphic design degree, to create a 70-page style guide. Then came a $75 ticket for unsanctioned wildlife encouragement because I dared to put a birdbath in my yard, which she claimed would attract non-native species and decrease property values by 12%. Next, a $100 fine for excessive naturalness when I didn't immediately remove a bird's nest from my porch light, followed by a $50 penalty for inadequate response time when I took 3 days to reply to her email. Deborah's reconnaissance missions became a daily terror. She'd patrol my property multiple times a day in her souped-up golf cart, emblazoned with a Lake Patrol badge and a toy siren she'd blare at perceived violations. Her dash cam? not for safety, but for violation dossiers. She documented everything, meticulously, like a crime scene investigator. My naturally curved rock path, provocative and potentially suggestive in her 17-page report. My warm porch light, too coastal for the Midwest and inconsistent with heartland values. And get this, she cited me for hostile semaphore because I only waved with one hand, one hand. She claimed it violated her invented courtesy clause. Could you believe the audacity? The rumors she spread were pure poison, as ridiculous as they were defamatory. I was illegally renting my house to questionable city characters who played loud music and did drugs. I live here full-time. I held midnight concerts for bass fish, with underwater speakers and laser light shows, selling tickets I wasn't reporting to the IRS. Fish don't applaud, Deborah. She whispered to the book club that I was growing illegal plants in my basement. They were just tomato seedlings for cooking. My weekly grocery deliveries or sisters' visits became strange cars at unusual hours for the church group. Her most insane accusation? My keyless entry system broadcast felony waves that messed with boat navigation, cell phones, and even made geese poop specifically on her lawn. When she demanded duplicate keys for emergency board inspections and spontaneous wellness checks, I politely but firmly refused. My lawyer friend, bless his heart, laughed for 5 straight minutes when I told him. That's when she pulled out Article 12B, some fabricated bylaw about board access for the greater good, and emergency mold prevention. Hours I spent sifting through 10 years of HOA documents, only to confirm it was a figment of her deluded imagination. This Saturday, after a peaceful start, I returned from grocery shopping to find Deborah and her loyal henchwomen, Brenda Choi and Harry Miller, occupying my private dock. That ridiculous flotilla banner flapped like a declaration of war. Brenda was meticulously photographing a dock cleat with a tape measure, while Harry furiously scribbled in a notebook. Even my elderly neighbor, Frank, paused his gardening, mouth agape, to watch the spectacle. Before I could even ask what they thought they were doing on my property, Deborah marched to my car. With the unearned confidence of someone who's never faced consequences, she reached through my open window, groceries still in my hands, and snatched my keys again. "We need to test your interior humidity levels for mold," she announced, a bizarre mix of urgency and glee. "Check for unapproved electronics. Ensure compliance with new furniture guidelines." All this as if it were a normal Saturday morning activity covered by HOA powers. She power walked towards my front door, heels clicking like a ticking time bomb, her minions trailing behind like brainwashed ducklings. "Stop right there," I yelled, my voice shaking with a fury I hadn't known I possessed. "Return my keys immediately, or this becomes a legal matter you can't talk your way out of." She spun around, her face a mask of indignation. "You're obstructing lake governance," she accused, interfering with board operations, as if these were actual crimes. Then came the most utterly bizarre power play I've ever witnessed. From her pocket, she produced a novelty zip tie straight out of a kid's toy handcuff set. She threaded it through my gate latch, declaring it an emergency lock for community safety and property values. The ridiculous click of that plastic tie was the final breaking point. Enough. I pulled out my phone and dialed 911, my voice calm but firm. "The HOA president has stolen my keys, is attempting to break into my house, has illegally detained my property with a toy lock, and has 3 accomplices trespassing on my dock." Frank, my neighbor, was now filming everything, shaking his head. Deborah's face morphed from smug satisfaction to confusion, then to dawning horror. She simply couldn't comprehend that her actions had real-world consequences beyond a stern email. 2 deputies, Officer Ramirez and Officer Chen, arrived within 15 minutes, body cameras rolling. Their expressions when they saw Deborah clutching my keys like a smoking gun told me this wasn't their first rodeo with her. Officer Ramirez rubbed his temples, muttering about not getting paid enough. Officer Chen even joked loudly about losing the betting pool on how long it would take to be called out here again. I was ready. I presented my meticulously compiled folder of evidence, printouts of the actual bylaws, no Article 12B in sight, highlighted state statutes on criminal trespass, and, most damningly, crystal-clear doorbell camera footage from 3 angles of Deborah snatching my keys. The officers reviewed everything, Officer Chen actually chuckling at Deborah's fictional bylaws. They politely asked her to return my keys and apologize for the misunderstanding. But Deborah, still wrapped in her delusion, refused. She spouted nonsense about implied dominion over shorelines and maritime law of community standards. It was gibberish, clearly cobbled together from random legal terms she'd Googled minutes before. One deputy, with the patience of a kindergarten teacher, read the criminal trespass statute aloud. The other sighed, staring at her flotilla banner, looking like he was seriously reconsidering his career choice. After a quick, disbelieving phone call to the assistant district attorney, who actually asked if it was a prank, the deputies gave Deborah 2 stark choices: hand over the keys, apologize, and leave with a warning. Or take a ride to the station to explain theft, unlawful entry, and criminal trespass to a judge far less patient than they were. The sweet jingle of my keys, reluctantly surrendered by her trembling hands, was the sound of pure justice, like wind chimes crafted from vindication. Her face was now the exact shade of her HOA visor, scarlet with shame, as reality finally crashed down on her. Brenda and Harry, her flunkies, were already scrambling to start the pontoon boat, desperate to escape. That evening, I sent out a mass email. Important security footage you need to see immediately regarding your HOA president. Over 80 residents, some who hadn't attended a meeting in years, packed the community boathouse, each with their own tales of Deborah's reign of terror. Under the buzzing fluorescent lights, I presented my case. The doorbell footage, played twice on a projector, showed her theft in broad daylight. Gasps filled the room. Someone yelled, "That's a felony!" I exposed her phantom bylaw, line by line, as pure fiction. Then Jennifer, a sympathetic board member who'd had enough and feared she was next, unveiled the ultimate evidence: Deborah's secret email trail. It detailed her chilling plan for a key registry initiative, her vision to curate member interiors, forcing redecoration to her lake country chic taste, and a social credit system to reward compliance and punish resistance. This meant Deborah intended to walk into homes uninvited, judging decor and fining for wrong-colored towels. The sheriff's liaison confirmed her gate lock was criminal mischief, her key theft was just that, theft, and her behavior was harassment and stalking. Then came the final, thunderous bombshell. The treasurer revealed Deborah had spent $7,200 of the landscaping budget on custom Lake Patrol polo shirts no one else could wear, a living moss wall for her office, and a laminating machine for fake violation notices. Another $3,000 went to a drone for aerial dock inspections that was registered to her personal Amazon account and seen hovering over people's bedrooms. She'd even used HOA funds for legal databases to justify her madness and hired a private investigator to dig dirt on residents she disliked. The room erupted in outrage. Their dues, their special assessments, had funded this insane power trip. After 2 hours of furious discussion and countless horror stories, the vote was called. Swift, decisive, 52-3. Deborah Price was out, effective immediately. Her access to all HOA property, including her personal office clubhouse, revoked. The entire matter referred to the state attorney general for investigation. She tried to filibuster about civil hydrology and her legacy of lake protection, but the room met her with a distinctly Midwestern, polite but firm, groan. Someone even threw a dinner roll. The legal consequences hit like a summer storm. A criminal trespass warning banned her from my property for 2 years, with immediate arrest if violated. The judge, clearly fed up with HOA abuses, ordered her to pay $3,800 in restitution for damages, legal fees, emotional distress, and punitive damages for malicious and premeditated conduct. But the chef's kiss of karma, her community service every Saturday for 6 months, dawn to dusk, at the public boat launch Lost and Found, wearing a bright orange vest that read, Keys are not yours to take on the back and respect private property on the front. When the judge savored those last words, Deborah's jaw dropped so far, I thought it might detach. Her lawyer just buried his face in his hands, muttering about early retirement.